Hello and welcome to the Daily Royal. My name is Shelby and I have been a royal watcher for the past 10 years. In this podcast, I talk about the daily events of 7 of the European monarchies. So I talk about Belgium, the UK, Denmark, the Netherlands, Norway, Spain, and Sweden. I upload Monday through Friday with occasional bonus episodes here and there. Today is Tuesday, April 6th of 2021. Well, long time no talk, guys. So I mentioned in the episode that I think went out on Friday. I honestly don't remember the last time I recorded. I mentioned that I was feeling really sick. I think I did record on Thursday, so it would have gone out last Friday. And I just mentioned that I was feeling really terrible, and that just continued through most of the weekend. It's pretty normal for me to actually get sick around Easter. I don't know why, but pretty much consistently I am sick around Easter. It's just when my body gets exhausted. I think it's mostly weather change and everything like that. But so I took a few days to feel better, and I realized that some of the things that I had said we were going to do did not happen because of that, which is sad. I'm really bummed out about that. So the game plan for right now is we are just going to continue in normal. So we have days worth of events to cover. So the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, which was Easter, the 5th, and then today the 6th. So what is that, like 5 days? The 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Yeah, that's 5 days. However, most of that was Easter and a weekend. So it's been pretty quiet. However, I mean, each country for the most part has, 4 of the 7 have something. So we are going to jump in with the British royal family because there has been nothing going on in Belgium, and their website hasn't even been updated since the 31st. So I don't know when we'll see them again. They were showing future events for the 31st, so I don't know what's going on there. But hopefully that'll come back and we'll see them soon. But King Philippe didn't have an audience or anything last week, so maybe this week is a quiet week for the Belgian people. Okay, so let's go ahead now and start with the British royal family. In the British royal family, it has been extremely quiet. There really wasn't a lot going on. So really the biggest thing was, sorry, my cat just jumped on my desk because I got a new desk, which means like I have an office space in my extremely small living space that I have now. But it's okay because my office space is actually really cool and I want to make it a little more functional, but like I have a desk and a chair and like it takes up no room at all, which is awesome because everything folds and it's the perfect little thing. Okay, so my cat just jumped up because it's new and she wants to sit here because I'm working. So anyway, so the most of the stuff that was going on in the British royal family has been focused on Easter. So on the 2nd, Queen Elizabeth and the Prince of Wales released a new photo of them sharing a walk along the grounds of Windsor leading up to Easter. So it seems like maybe the Prince of Wales spent Easter in Windsor. I don't know for sure about all of that, but like it seems like it given that this picture was released. And I like that, both the Queen and Charles are vaccinated, and so it was just kind of cool to see like a slight return to normal around the holiday. So typically you will see the royal family, the British royal family, at their Easter service at Windsor at St. George's Chapel in Windsor. But because of, the pandemic, there was no major Easter service. There still might have been a small one, but there were no pictures or anything. So, that was like the big thing. And then today, a video came out from the Kensington Palace social media of William having his phone calls and video calls with NHS staff, which we know he's been doing since January. So apparently he has now talked to like 300 NHS staff. So they just did like a summary of that. But like we, as a collective podcast community, knew this because I talk about it every time there's a court circular entry about them. So that is what was going on public facing. Let me see if there was anything in the court circular. The last court circular that came out was on April 1st. And literally it had one thing that like wasn't even a real event. It was just Queen Elizabeth naming someone to a post. So we're going to see if there was a court circular event for today. It does not look like there was. So with that, we are going to go ahead now and move on to the Danish royal family. Denmark is somehow shocking me in that they have seemingly some of the most events over the past few days. So it all started with Easter. So on April 4th, on Sunday, Queen Margrethe attended Easter service at the Aarhus Cathedral. So I know I've talked about this pretty recently with the announcement of Prince Christian's confirmation, but the Danish royal family are part of the Church of Denmark, which is it's mostly like a Lutheran-based church. For those of us in the States, it's Lutheran, but of course it is the Church of Denmark. And so it's different than being Catholic. So I don't think they call it a mass, but this is a pretty standard tradition for Queen Margrethe, and of course she continued that, but the mass was shorter. There was no like common singing, which if you're from a church background is very normal to sing hymns or praise songs or anything like that as a collective group. However, I guess singing is somehow like COVID not safe, which I can understand. But it's interesting. So there was none of that. There was no like communion, but it was a very short service in general, but still a traditional Easter service. So that was Sunday. And then yesterday, Monday, was the 75th anniversary of the liberation of Bornholm, which I think is an island in Denmark. And so all of Denmark was part of Nazi Germany. The Nazis gained control in Denmark pretty easily. There was a decision made that the Danes didn't put up much of a fight and just succumbed to the domination, I guess. I don't really know what to call that, invasion. And so last year was the 75th anniversary of most of Denmark getting liberated and becoming Denmark again and like free. However, the island was not. So it remained in German control and was liberated almost an entire year after the liberation of Denmark. So most of Europe was liberated around May of 1945, whereas in Bornholm it was liberated in April of 1946. So, Margrethe participated in an interview with the Danish television where she talked about her parents' experience visiting shortly after the liberation. And then she also, the Danish royal house released photos of candles being lit in the windows, which is a way that Danes commemorate their liberation. So that was yesterday, and then we get to today, and so today, Crown Prince Frederik attended the launch of Elements of AI, which is a series of free online courses to spread awareness and understanding of artificial intelligence. So I have talked about this a lot. Personally, I'm terrified of AI. Like, I don't understand AI well enough that it scares me. And so honestly, like, I will probably look in if these courses are presented in English. I honestly may look into them because I have not a fear, but a concern over the artificial intelligence world. It gives me some unease because I don't understand it. And as I was so nicely reminded today, I don't do well when I don't know what's going on. I tend to panic or get really scared or whatever. I just don't do super well. And yeah, so that's why I don't really like AI, because I don't understand it. So anyway, so that was today's event. And then it does seem like maybe things are going to pick up in the Danish royal household world. I think. March was definitely substantially better than it had been all year. So it does seem like calendar looks a little light. So, but there are like 3 to 4 events this week. So that's pretty impressive. Yeah. So that is what was going on in Denmark. And now we are going to go ahead and move on to the Netherlands. Not gonna lie, the Dutch royal family showing up over the course of an Easter week has thoroughly shocked me and slightly impressed me. I have never been super secret about the fact that King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima will sometimes appear to be more work-averse than other royals. However, since their incident in October, that has really stepped up. But it really seems like I did expect a longer Easter holiday from them. And really, they worked right up until Easter weekend. So King Willem-Alexander on Friday had a telephone conversation with the chairman for the House of Representatives, which is the lower governing house in the Netherlands, about the cabinet formation. So it seems like that is so far the involvement we've seen Willem-Alexander have with the recent election. And then they were both back to work today, so they took Monday. So today, King Willem-Alexander visited the new high-tech warehouse of the company CB, which is celebrating its 150th anniversary. So this new warehouse is completely automated, provides for like quicker packing time, quicker everything, because it's all automated and digitally run. So CB is actually like a logistics company that started primarily with book distribution. So in a similar way to like how Amazon started, Amazon prior to what it is now was really collectively for books. It was a cheaper way to obtain books, and quickly get your hands on them. And then it's become what it is today. And so similarly, CB has not grown that much, not Amazon level much, but they have been doing some logistics for COVID era, and they are just like using what they're really good at to help with the COVID crisis. So the King was also able to talk about the book industry, because CB does still specialize in book distribution. So he was able to have some roundtable discussions with some of the experts there. And then also today, Queen Maxima spoke in a digital working visit with various mental health experts from different organizations about the impact that the pandemic has had on mental health. So this is something that we've seen her do kind of relative to like specific organizations, but this is the first time they brought in researchers, general practitioners, therapists, like kind of everyone on this spectrum of healthcare to talk about like what's going on with mental health and COVID, and like what COVID has done to our psyche, which I can't even imagine that the results, like the long-term effects of this pandemic, are going to be any kind of good. Everyone keeps saying like normal. Like, I don't think we're ever gonna go back to where we were before March of 2020. Even with like vaccinations and things like that, like I think the goal is to be better, and so I think that's what we focus on, right? So that is what was going on in the Netherlands. But like I said, I am really impressed. And while I will say, like, I completely feel justified in my frustration back in October with Willem Alexander and Maxima, they have truly, in my eyes, redeemed themselves. They have, like, worked really hard. They're seeming to do a good bit. I don't know, it's just like PR-wise, like public relations-wise, they, for me, have repaired their image quite substantially. I think it was the beginning of the year, I wasn't even sure if I really wanted to talk about them anymore when I was like, after my December break, I was just like, I don't know if I'm gonna bring in all 7 again or what I'm gonna do. But by sticking with the Netherlands and talking about them, like, they've really impressed me in 2021. So that's what was going on there. Nothing going on in Norway over the past 5 days. Looks like maybe a return on Thursday. Also, supposedly, I think at some point this week, maybe next week, King Harald is supposed to come back. Fingers crossed for that to actually happen. It's seeming like it will. We've seen him in person at an event, and then he did his Easter message. So maybe, fingers crossed there. And so with that, we are going to go ahead now and move on to the Spanish royal family. In Spain, their week just confused me. So they took Thursday and Friday off, and then somehow in a late edition, the calendar changed, and so King Felipe had to work on Saturday night. So he attended the Copa del Rey, which is the King's Cup, and it was a preface, I'm American, we call what the rest of the world calls football, we call it soccer. I know we're terrible. However, I have lived 27 years calling it soccer. I recognize that this is not correct to a few of you, and I will try to call it football, but it's very hard for me because football is a whole other sport in this country. I know, it's fine. So it was the King's Cup football match between Real Sociedad and the Athletic Club. The game was held in Seville, but the two teams are both from the Basque Country. This is actually the 2020 match. So this one was supposed to be held April 18th of last year. However, if you can think back to April of last year, we were in the beginnings of this pandemic and things were getting canceled, and we didn't really know how to hold sport events without a crowd or hold sport events in general because like teams are traveling and not being super COVID cautious, and so like sporting events were just COVID hotspots. So they postponed it and it never really got rescheduled, and then it got scheduled for April 3rd. And me and my love for Spanish culture does not extend to the fact that they had a soccer game at 9:30 p.m. Spain time. 9:30, it started at 9:30. Now, here in the US, we again just got through like college basketball tournaments, which is a big deal in this country. I don't know why. I personally don't care. However, last night there was our like big NCAA championship game, and it was at 9 o'clock. And I'm like, okay, but why? Like, why that late? I don't understand. Who's staying up till midnight to watch a basketball game? And that's in the US. Like, I know Spanish culture is different and they stay up late, and that's lovely. But 9:30 p.m. the day before Easter in Seville, which is like a hot spot for people during Holy Week. Now, it can't be this year because pandemic, but like there are parades in Seville for Semana Santa, for Holy Week. Like, it's a big deal. And yet you're putting a football game at 9:30 p.m. the day before Easter? I have so many questions. So many. And this is just one of those like cultural differences that I don't understand. Like, I was also shocked we had in the US we had like some awards show was on the night of Easter. I'm like, I don't even celebrate Easter. Like, it's not a holiday for me. I'm not religious. Easter is a day. But my family does, and like my family came over and I spent the day outside. It was lovely. But like, I don't know. I was just shocked. But anyway, so he attended that. And I also, like, full of controversial things today. I don't like soccer, but I was like in need of some royal content. Like, I was kind of going crazy. So I watched this game. It was super boring, but Real Sociedad from San Sebastian, I'm fairly certain, is who won. And then Athletic Club is from Bilbao. Now, the two teams also meet up tomorrow for a soccer game, so I'm interested to see which one wins. This is how I'm going to become a soccer fan, you guys. Football, whatever. This is how it's going to happen. Because I'm going to be convinced I have to see who wins the game tomorrow night. At 9:30 p.m. again. It's fine. Okay, so that was Saturday. And then today, King Felipe returned to work, and he held 2 military audiences, I think. I say I think because there were 3 postings at one point on social media, but then one of those has gotten taken down. So I think there were still only 2, and they just released the wrong video or something. So first he met with a group of naval captains and colonels, and then with a group of brigadier generals and rear admirals. So I'm finding that it's not the same people he's meeting with, but it's the same two distinctions. So naval captains and colonels, and then brigadier generals and rear admirals. Like those are when he holds military audiences, those are who he's meeting with. So I don't really ever know what to say in these situations. I focused on like what uniform he was wearing for a while. Today he was wearing the Air Force uniform. There's really nothing to talk about on this. I mean, I just spent like a lot of minutes on football, so I guess I don't really need to talk about it. But I don't know if there's any takes that you guys would like to hear about this, or like a way I can make military audiences sound more exciting. It's just, they're not, to me. I don't understand. Like, I understand that Felipe is commander-in-chief and like the head of the Spanish military. Like, I get all that. It's important, and I'm glad he does hold these meetings. But like, I don't know what they talk about. And no one does. Like, no one really gets to know what happens in those rooms because it's about national safety. So, anyway, that is what was up today. Tomorrow, I think there are a couple of events, so it's kind of just back to the grind, at least for Felipe. Queen Letizia, I think, only has one event this week, at least for right now. Their calendar has been changing, like, a lot in the past few days, so as of right now, she just has one event tomorrow, and that's for the week. So, I don't know, there might be, like, Spain might be on a school holiday. I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, that's what was going on in Spain. That's really it for, the update. I know, there was nothing going on in Sweden, and Sweden also has this week off according to their calendar. So it's going to be it's going to be a non-existent week for the Swedish royal family. So for the most part this week, we will be finishing in Spain, unless Sweden pops up with some surprise anythings. I was a little disappointed that we didn't get a Easter greeting from the Swedish royal family like we did last year. The one last year was so cute. But that's okay. So that is what was going on today with all of our royal families. So tomorrow, I'm going to continue with the talking about monarchies we don't frequently talk about, or never. And I do want to address another thing that happened in one of those monarchies tomorrow. So check that out. We're going to be talking about the coup attempt, alleged coup attempt in Jordan. Because, I don't know, I'm endlessly fascinated about this story. So we'll talk about that a little bit, and then I think it's just going to be kind of light for this week as well. So we'll supplement where we can with the things that I still want to talk about. We'll finish up those monarchies. There are like 7 or 8 left that I just haven't talked about yet. So we'll finish those up in the next kind of this week. So that's a look ahead. And then, yeah, I will talk to you all tomorrow. Sorry for being a little MIA for the past few days. I'm getting ready to do social media catch up as soon as I'm done recording. So with all of that, please check out thedailyroyal.com, The Daily Royal on Instagram, like and review this podcast, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Have a great Wednesday. Bye.